In this chapter of One Piece, chapter 1159, we have some absolutely massive revelations that are going to change everything about how we see the God Valley incident. We're getting the shocking truth about Rock's real identity as Davy D. Xebec, Dragon's first appearance as a young Marine who's already showing signs of his future rebellion, and this horrifying tournament where Shakky is literally put up as a prize for nobles to decide whether she becomes a wife or a slave. Before we dive into God Valley though, we actually start with volume 41 of the Oni child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage. We see Yamato returning to the flower capital with Ulti and Page 1, and they're just casually eating apples as they walk. The chapter opens with this devastating news that just rocks the entire world, literally. Heavy rain is falling on Hachinosu as we get the narration that Shakky has been kidnapped and Don Marlon has been murdered. Now here's the bombshell that nobody saw coming. The person responsible turns out to be a traitor inside the Rocks pirates named Ochoku. But here's the thing that makes this even more shocking. Nobody on Hachinosu had any clue this betrayal was coming. Ochoku's revealed as this conniving mastermind who plotted to usurp control of the Rocks pirates and make bigger profits by kidnapping Shakky. The fact that he could catch a former pirate empress and fellow Rocks pirate off guard like this shows just how powerful and cunning he really was. There's this interesting detail that Don Marlon might actually be Capone Bege's father, considering their similar backgrounds and origins from the underworld. What's fascinating is that Blackbeard eventually avenged this betrayal by retaking his father's old base and usurping Ochoku, who had taken over the island. If the theory about Ochoku being Caribou's father is true, it means both Blackbeard and Caribou infiltrated Yonko crews to avenge their own fathers, which creates this incredible parallel in their motivations. The reaction to Shakky's kidnapping is absolutely insane and honestly kind of hard to believe. We're talking about the world's economy literally pausing for several weeks. Oda might be overestimating celebrity power here because while celebrities definitely create perception in the masses, for Shakky to halt economic activity sounds incredible. Even Boa Hancock couldn't do that, but then again, she's more isolated than Shakky, who was in what we could call the idle era of piracy. The emotional reactions are just heartbreaking to witness. Gloriosa is weeping in complete despair because Shakky was her friend. Roger is so enraged that he's destroying newspapers with his bare hands, and Rayleigh is extremely worried about what's happening to her. Roger holds Xebec directly responsible for letting this happen, and he's preparing to march for God Valley to save Shakky and kill Xebec. You can feel how this one event is about to set everything in motion for the God Valley incident. From there, we jump to 38 years ago, 1 year after Shakky's kidnapping, when St. Figurland Garling returns to God Valley. Here's where things get really dark because he meets this red-haired woman who introduces him to her twin sons, and this is our first look at baby Shanks and his twin brother Shamrock. Garling is surprised to see they're twins and calls them adorable, but there's something sinister brewing beneath this seemingly pleasant family meeting. The red-haired woman asks Garling to live with her on the island, but he refuses because he says God Valley will disappear soon. This gives us our first hint that there's this ultimate plan to make God Valley vanish completely due to what Garling has discovered, and whatever that discovery is must never be known to the public. Then, in this absolutely shocking moment, Garling pulls out his sword and stabs the woman right as Marine battleships are arriving at the island. As the red-haired woman falls to the ground seriously injured, Garling makes this chilling declaration that a wife befitting his status has already been decided. He's literally placed an order for her to be captured, and she'll be his wife if he wins the tournament. Based on his skills and confidence, he knows he can secure his victory. It seems that either Ochoku directly responded to this order, or there was a Cipher Pol middleman who retrieved Shakky for this purpose. The Marines immediately start blocking all the exits to prevent any civilians from escaping God Valley. They're literally shooting people who try to leave, and this is your daily reminder that the Marines as an organization are fully aware and accepting of the Celestial Dragon's practices of slavery and genocide. We saw this later with the Ohara incident, but here we're seeing genocide happening in broad daylight as citizens are forced to stay in their kingdom like it's a pen. Among those Marines is a very young Monkey D. Dragon at age 17, the exact same age his future son Luffy would be when he starts his journey to become Pirate King. Rather than shooting people with bullets, Dragon is using tranquilizer shots because he doesn't want blood on his hands. When he asks his superior officer what the purpose of this mission even is, he gets immediately shut down and shouted at to just follow orders. This is the exact moment where Dragon's radicalization begins. He was raised under Garp's personal justice system, and now he's seeing firsthand how wrong the organization really is. What's interesting is that even though Garp always knew how scummy the Celestial Dragons are, he still stays with the Marines. One incident was enough to radicalize Dragon and later Fujitora, but Garp had already seen God Valley and Ohara and knew about his government superior's cruelty, yet he still sees the Marines as the sole legitimate authority to save people from anarchic pirates and government corruption. Meanwhile, there's this Marine slave ship heading toward God Valley, and it's carrying some very important people. Ginny is on board leaking information about the tournament prizes to the outside world, which shows her incredible bravery and strategic thinking even in captivity. Ivankov is absolutely furious that the other slaves have lost their fighting spirit, but Kuma is in another part of the ship listening to everything with this small smile, because he finds their energy encouraging even in this dark situation. At the same time, we cut to this Cipher Pol Information Department facility on an unknown island where a very young 15-year-old Morgans arrives claiming he has incredible information. He's dressed the same as in the present but wearing a beret instead of his signature top hat. Morgans actually tries to get Cipher Pol to pay him a bribe to not publish this information, but when they threaten to erase him instead, he tells them to try it if they have enough courage. This is literally the birth of the world's most determined newsbird and his mission to spread the truth no matter what. Morgan succeeds in leaking the information to Hachinosu, which allows them to learn that Shakky is the big prize of the native hunting tournament in God Valley. This motivates not just the Rocks pirates, but all the Hachinosu pirates to head for God Valley. Once word gets out about the tournament prizes, pirates from all over the world start making their moves toward God Valley. Big Mom is particularly interested in the other prizes because she wants to acquire good devil fruits for her children. She even suggests that Kaido should find his own devil fruit there. This must be the origin story for how everyone from Perospero to the triplets, including Katakuri, got their incredible abilities. We see legendary figures like Rocks, Roger, and Garp all setting course for this island, which means we're about to witness some of the most powerful people in the world converge on one location. On his way to God Valley, Rocks gets blocked by Harald's ship, which has been sent by the world government with a nearby government vessel watching to ensure Harald follows his orders. Here's where we get the revelation that changes everything we thought we knew about Rocks as a character. Xebec asks Harald if they can have a drink together, possibly their last drink as former friends. Far from prying ears, Xebec reveals his most closely guarded secret that none of his crew knew about. His real name is Davy D. Xebec, and he's a descendant of the legendary Davy D. Jones. His clan, the Davy clan, has been systematically hunted down by the world government with the goal of wiping them out completely. Their ancestor Davy D. Jones helped the clan survive by hiding in the underworld, though Xebec isn't sure if this is ultimately a good thing or not. But here's what makes this revelation even more emotional and crucial for understanding Rocks' motivations. He sent his wife and child away to God Valley with instructions to rely on the Davy clan for protection. His real mission isn't just saving Shakky like he told his crew. He's desperately trying to save his own family before this native hunting competition destroys the island and everyone on it. This completely reframes everything about Rocks as a character. He's not the monster that the world government painted him, as in their historical records. He's actually a father trying to save his family from a government-sanctioned genocide disguised as entertainment. We see this tragic parallel where Garling killed his wife to hide the stain that created his prizes. Xebec drove his wife and son away to keep them safe from his dangerous life, not realizing they're in even greater danger because of the Celestial Dragons. The revelation also tells us that the Davy clan is quite prominent in God Valley. While we don't know exactly how connected the clan is to God Valley royalty, they've been hiding successfully in this land for centuries. The fact that the world government hasn't annexed this territory suggests that the Davy clan prospered specifically here, but it raises the question, why is this land called God Valley, and what exactly are they hiding besides this mysterious family? Essentially, Xebec is asking Harald to join him in the fight to save his wife and child. This moment mirrors Roger's final moments when he entrusted Ace to Garp. Sometimes your greatest rival is actually the person you can trust most. Harald was Xebec's actual friend, but since their confrontation in the previous chapter where Harald tried to kill him, that friendship had soured. Harald refuses to join Xebec and they fight again, but this time something incredible happens. Harald deliberately allows Xebec to cause damage and escape before he can be captured by the watching world government ship. This shows the incredible respect and friendship that still exists between these two men, even while Harald is forced to play his assigned role. The God Valley tournament officially begins, and it's absolutely horrifying to witness. The Master of Ceremonies introduces these rare devil fruits as prizes, the same type we saw teased back in Kuma's flashback sequences. Then, they bring out the main event, Shakky, as the biggest prize of all. She's dressed in a traditional Kuja costume and looks clean and healthy because the celestial dragon forces have been taking care of her in captivity like a prized possession. Here's the part that makes your stomach turn. The Master of Ceremonies explains that the winner of the native hunting tournament gets to decide whether they make Shakky their wife or their slave. The world nobles in the audience are going absolutely wild with excitement over this announcement. We see members of the Gods' Knights including Garling, Young Summers, and Gunko, who has long hair and is wearing a more military outfit. There's also this girl with a beret and rifle from the Manmeyer family who we recognize from Kuma's flashback, sitting right next to Gunko. The Shepherd family members are telling Summers to win Shakky for their family, but Summers insists that the woman will be his personal slave. Meanwhile, the Manmeyer woman tells Gunko to secure a trophy for the tournament. Garling cuts over all of them by declaring that he will win and make Shakky his wife. It becomes obvious that this entire tournament was designed from the beginning for him to claim victory and possess her. Emu is clearly watching this incident with great interest, not just through St. J. Garcia Saturn, but also through their known vessel, St. Manmeyer Gunko. Dragon follows this trail of blood into a house where he discovers the wounded red-haired woman, Shanks and Shamrock's mother, barely clinging to life. In her dying breath, she begs Dragon to take the children away from the island, far away from Garling. Dragon doesn't realize he's about to potentially clash with the Supreme Commander of the Holy Knights, who are far beyond his pay grade and authority as a regular Marine. This encounter gives us perfect context for Dragon's later words to Bartholomew Kuma in Chapter 1101 when he said that a child is a parent's weak spot. Because he witnessed what happened to this woman trying to protect her children, Dragon has kept his distance from Luffy out of love and fear for his safety. While we still don't know what happened to Luffy's mother, we do know she hasn't been seen since Luffy was left with the bandits as a child. There's this incredible theory gaining traction in the community about Dragon potentially saving baby Shanks by hiding him in one of the God Valley treasure chests. This would perfectly mirror how Roger later finds Shanks in a similar chest, and if Dragon grabbed a devil fruit from those same treasure chests while saving Shanks, it would explain his massive power increase after eventually leaving the Marines. In another devastating scene, we see young Teach handcuffed in a cage with his mother, whose face isn't shown. She's reassuring her child that everything will be alright, but you can feel the desperation in her voice. This perfectly explains everything we know about Blackbeard's endless hunger and his drive to take whatever he can get his hands on. It all stems from this childhood trauma where survival meant everything and hope seemed impossible. The chapter ends with this absolutely earth-shattering announcement from the Master of Ceremonies that changes everything about the One Piece world. He tells all the Celestial Dragons that beyond the Buccaneer clan, they've discovered another super rare treasure that's been lost for 800 years, members of the Davy clan. The crowd completely loses their minds at this revelation because they're witnessing the rediscovery of an ancient bloodline. This raises incredible questions about whether the Davy clan might actually be a different race entirely. Since Kuma and the Buccaneers are mentioned together with the Davy clan, it suggests they might share similar unique characteristics. This could explain Blackbeard's unique body structure and his ability to consume multiple devil fruits without dying, something that should be impossible for normal humans. There's fascinating speculation that Blackbeard might have consumed or added Whitebeard's heart to his own as a means to secure his devil fruit power. While Davy Jones is an older myth, Oda might be referencing the Pirates of the Caribbean character who became part octopus due to Calypso's curse. Octopi have 3 hearts, and Blackbeard's Jolly Roger has 3 heads. Suddenly, everything starts connecting. This means rocks might share this unique biology and potentially have multiple devil fruits as well. Even more intriguingly, Shanks and Shamrock might have similar extraordinary bodies since they're children of both Garling, a celestial dragon, and this red-haired woman from God Valley, which happens to be Xebec's homeland. The question now becomes whether Shanks carries the D initial as well. So far, we know the Trafalgar, Porpoise, Nefertari, Monkey, and Davy clans all hold the Will of D. We have giants like Saul, but none seem as unique as the Davy clan. Yet Shanks doesn't bear a D initial in his known name, which raises questions about his true heritage. This could be exactly why Gabon called Shanks a child of fate back in chapter 1152. Not just because of his role in God Valley and being found by Roger, but because of his dual origins connecting both the Celestial Dragons and potentially the D clan. It's one thing for Shanks to cry upon learning about his celestial dragon blood, but imagine learning that his mother was killed by his father and his homeland was erased by his father's class. This tragic knowledge explains so much about why Shanks and Blackbeard clashed, and why Blackbeard was able to leave that scar on Shanks' face. It's a mark of Shanks' stained lineage, but also a reminder of the danger represented by Teach, a child whose revenge was born from the destruction of his home by Shanks' people. We might see their final battle conclude with one of them dying to finally bury God Valley's legacy. Just to make things even more intense, there's no break next week, so we're getting Chapter 1160 immediately to continue this incredible momentum. There's this theory about multiples of 16 being significant for emu appearances, and 1160 would fit this pattern perfectly, so we might actually get an emu flashback showing us what really happened at God Valley from the world government's perspective. This chapter is absolutely crucial because it transforms our understanding of the God Valley incident from a simple pirate conflict into this complex web of family tragedy, government conspiracy, and racial persecution. Every character's motivation makes perfect sense now. Dragon's future rebellion, Blackbeard's hunger for power, Shanks' burden of knowledge, and Rox's desperate mission to save his family. The emotional stakes are through the roof here, and we're about to see Dragon make his first major move against this corrupt system while Rox crashes this tournament to save his family. We might finally understand the true sequence of events that caused God Valley to be completely erased from history and why it's never appeared on any map since then. So drop your theories in the comments because I'm dying to know what you think about these revelations. Do you believe Dragon's rescue plan really involves hiding Shanks in those treasure chests? What do you think the remaining 4 mysterious chests contain? Could they hold ancient weapons or other world-changing artifacts? And are we really going to see Emu appear in Chapter 1160 to show us how this island got wiped off the map? If this breakdown got you as hyped as I am about where this story is heading, smash that like button, subscribe so you don't miss our deep dive into Chapter 1160, and I'll see you in the next analysis, because this God Valley arc is about to get absolutely insane.